What is the best advice you would give to cleaning business owners? That's a great question, and we're going to talk about that today. Hi there, I'm Angela Brown, and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question, and I get to help you find an answer. Now, today's show is brought to us by mycleaningconnection.com, which is a resource hub for all different kinds of things that you need to grow your cleaning business, and there's also more business advice than what I might give you today. Now, coming back to the question, which was written in from a house cleaning business owner who wants to know what is the best piece of advice. Well, the best piece of advice, and I'm not sure there's one best piece of advice, there are probably several, but the first one that comes to my mind takes me back to the time I went to buy a car. And I was new to buying cars, and I did not know a lot about negotiation. And I drove by the car dealership, and I thought, I'll just stop because it doesn't cost anything to stop and look, right? So I stopped, and as I was looking at a car, I was greeted by a high-pressured salesman. As we started talking, he kind of encouraged me, if you will, to take the car for a test drive. So I took this car for a test drive, and before you know it, I was inside his office, and he was trying to wrap up the deal. And I wasn't quite ready to buy. I wasn't sure if I was going to sell my existing car or if I was going to trade it in. I hadn't actually gone over my bank numbers yet, so I wasn't sure what my payment was going to be and what I could afford on a monthly basis. I was just in the beginning stages of looking at the different types of cars and what would best be suited for my business. But instead of taking what I needed into consideration, he took into consideration what he needed, and he needed a sale for the day. So I sat there in his office feeling very high pressured, and I started to feel a little bit uncomfortable because I didn't know how to get out of the situation I was in. When he said to me these words, and it left a lasting impact on me, he said, well, what are your other options if you don't buy this car? And I started thinking about that, and I thought, wait a second, I do have other options. I'm going to leave right now, and I'm going to go home, and I'm going to think about my other options. What's interesting about this is this became one of the very best pieces of advice I could give a new business owner, is what are your other options? There are times in house cleaning that we're face to face with a customer who's really unhappy with our work, and we want to fire them and never see them again. Or we have employees that are just being belligerent and they're making our lives miserable, and we want to just fire them and move on. What are your other options? Now, my suggestion is always look for 3, because the first one that you have might be a gut instinct. It might be a gut reaction. It might be you spinning off the top of your head, and it might not be your best decision. If you think of a second one, it might be the polar opposite. And it might be, well, I could not fire them at all, and I could just let them walk all over the top of me. Or there might be a happy medium somewhere in between. Now, my suggestion is if you spend the time and you pull out an ink pen or paper, or you use your cell phone or however you take notes, and you write down at least 3 options, this would be my best advice. There are always more options. And when you are aware of your options, then you have choices. Because you could still fire the person or you could still fire the client, but you might decide to do something different instead. Now, oftentimes my gut instinct guides me, but before I make a decision, I sit down and I look at the different options that are available to me. And I can always go back to my gut instinct. I can always follow that gut reaction. But instead of just reacting to it, how about if I try to resolve this first, and I can always come back and fire this person at a later date if need be, or I can fire this customer at a later date if need be. And so I have other options. So my best piece of advice to you would be, do listen to your gut and do follow your instincts, but not hastily, not hastily. There are times in this business where it's easier to try to mend a broken fence than it is to try to replace it. And by that I mean if you have something that has gone awry, whose fault is it? And if it's your fault and you can fix it and you can correct it, then you've saved the customer and you've saved the day. And there are a lot of customers over the course of my career I wish I would have fired. And as times went on and we were able to work things out, our relationship became stronger, not weaker. And they became my allies and my friends. I could have just let them go. So there are times in business where you're just going to want to and get rid of everything. But don't do it just yet. Stop and look at your other options, because when you're aware of your options, then you have choices.